All right. Well, it's my morning, so good morning if you're just waking up. A little bit of bad news when I went to go and drive my little Civic. Unfortunately, the 6-speed transmission that I got, guy said that it was 90,000 miles, which I do believe him because this thing shifts absolutely perfect. I pretty much had it tuned on my K-tuner setup within about 30 to 40 minutes. It actually went really smooth. But as soon as I got it into third or even fourth gear, the higher the gear, then when you let off the throttle, you could hear that input shaft bearing. So there's some bearings that are going bad. Obviously, somebody just downshifting, just like what I'm going to do. So I got to pull the tranny, which kind of sucks, but I guess I can figure out how fast I can get this done in the car, So I wasn't going to check it before I put it in because it was such a low mileage transmission. And this thing is clean too, There's like a little bit of, oxidization on the aluminum, but I mean, it's not even that bad. And then also when I did the VSS or CSS to VSS, because I'm running an 05 to 06 harness and ECU with the K-tuner. I did a little video where I kind of piggybacked and did like I said, CSS to VSS. So I can try and get my speedo to work. I got every other gauge to work on this conversion. And I've never done this on a 05, 06 ECU and engine harness before, so it's all kind of new to me, and I had to figure out like wiring schematics and all that stuff. So pretty much what happens is, because my speedo did not work, by the way, when I did the CSS to VSS conversion, and I was just racking my brain. I mean, it was like over a week I'm looking at schematics, like I said, and running powers and grounds. I had everything hooked up correctly. It would go into the ECU and then out of the ECU. But yet my K-tuner said that I was at 0 miles an hour, but everything's hooked up correctly. Well, I figured it out. On an 0204, it goes straight to the gauge cluster. 0506, it has to go to the ECU, then to the gauge cluster, which is how my car is all wired up. Well, it's wired up for a CSS, which is a 5-volt signal versus a 12-volt signal on the VSS. So I just went straight, this morning, I went straight from this sensor, just hooked up a wire through my window, and took the vehicle speed sensor out, and the speedo works. So when I pull the transmission, I'm just going to run a wire just literally straight to the back of the gauge cluster. And then it'll work. And then I'll have my speedo, my tack, I got that working. And HA Motorsports, who I got the jumper harness, or the chassis jumper harness through, they actually hooked up the now what was it? I gotta remember here really quick. I literally had to disassemble the whole adapter harness that they sold me for $250. It was the fan switch that is supposed to be wired into the factory fuse box. So I had to cut that, wire it into the fuse box, take the rest of the wiring, and that went to the temperature gauge. That was your single wire. And then speaking of that, check this out. I know that this is the wrong thread pitch, but it's in there very, very secure. It actually works. This is your OBD1 temperature switch for your gauge, temperature sensor for the gauge. And this is the wire that I had to cut halfway out of their jumper harness that goes to the chassis harness, right? So it worked super good. You know, when I drove it, when I figured out that the input shaft bearing was, well, probably some of the bearings are probably bad, but definitely input shaft bearing is super bad, and I don't want it to like explode on me and take out my whole transmission. So I'm going to spend $40 and probably several hours of my time, and I got to take the whole transmission apart. So I don't know if anybody wants to see a video of how to take a K-Series transmission apart. Maybe I'll make one of those. Probably won't do it on my cell phone like what I'm doing right now. I have a GoPro, and I'll probably just set it up so then I have two hands to work with. But yeah, that's my little progress here. And I'm going to pick up some wheels, because right now this thing is all stock suspension, brakes, wheels, and tires, which I have brand new True Heart suspension. I literally have everything else. I just thought it'd be kind of fun just to do some maybe second to third gear burnouts, which it does first into second gear burnouts, like super bad. But I'm gonna get some Koenig hypergrams actually for a steal. Guy's actually gonna be delivering them. So I'm gonna pick those up on Monday. It's gonna be pretty badass. So I'll be back.